It's been a while, things are about to heat up in here. Break it down. Welcome back. Today's only going to be a short one, just explaining why we've switched over to this new billet flex plate we've had made up locally. At the same time, we've had the torque converter out, that's been sent away to get tightened up. We're crossing the line at about 9,700 RPM at the 183 mile an hour pass we just did. So with a bit more horsepower in the engine now, obviously that usually equates to a bit more slip in the converter. So we had 14% at the end of the track. Hopefully we've knocked 5 or 6% out of it, and it'll be good to see just a back-to-back on what that does to the car. This is where all the cleverness happens. Well done, mate. We better see if that fits on the crank. So this is the first stage, and hopefully this is going to solve all our issues of this crank adapter plate failure that we keep having. Fits like a glove, mate. You could not ask for any better than that, the way that all pulled on and everything. Righto, we've just made a new flex plate for the rear-wheel drive K-Series guys that use Bill Hinch's adapter plate. Bill's been bloody good to us. We started off with this original coupler that goes on the end of the crank, and then we have a flex plate that bolts onto that with another set of large bolts. We had issues with that fretting and did destroy one crank. We've gone to another setup that Bill sent us, which was this style. So this part of it bolts onto the crank. So this setup uses big Honda flanged flywheel bolts. That there held the first part of the coupler to the crank brilliantly. So we had no issue with that. But what happens after that to get the flex plate on is this piece goes on, and then the flex plate bolts to that using these bolts. Now, unfortunately, these threads stripped out on this one for us. So to get away from the whole coupler and flex plate, which were having to be made as well, they're not something you can just buy off the shelf, we've just gone straight to a one-piece billet chrome moly flex plate, which incorporates the adapter into the back of it. It bolts straight on. It uses the Chevy 153 tooth ring gear, and then all we have is this locator that locates the end of the converter into the flex plate. 4 6mm screws hold that in. It also has 2 6mm threads in this to be able to jack that back out to take it out. So it's a press fit on that diameter into the inner diameter of the flex plate. The beauty with this, it eliminates one large set of bolts, only uses the one set of bolts that hold it purely to the crank. Now, with the other high horsepower guys, you're probably in the same boat, so it's just something to keep an eye on. Look for any form of fretting like this. Also on the back of this flex plate, you can see it. So that's a dead indication that it just does not have enough clamping force to be held on. So this has the Honda crankshaft pattern straight into the back of it. What do you reckon, mate? Is it looking all right?
That's perfect.
That's good. That's what we want to hear. Oh, we're back at JO8 Engineering, balancing the new flex plate that will not flex. What's that, 500 RPM, is it?
That's 500 there.
Look at that. Look how true it's running. How does it look, mate?
Yeah, good. So that's the rear of this crank is down to 1 gram, 0.1 ounce per inch. So we're at 3.6 grams of imbalance on the rear. Right there.
Yeah, right. That's pretty good. So Dully's just taken a tiny little bit out of here just with the die grinder, like we're talking bugger all, and that's got it back down to exactly where it needs to be. So to be honest, they don't even need balance. At 2 grams, that's ready to throw in the car and party. So crank end float at the moment, we have 6 thou as of the time we put this new flex plate on, so we'll monitor that just to see if our flex plate that will not flex causes any damage to a thrust bearing.
Well, that was interesting.
Break it down.